All right, let's just do it, man. We're here. Let's just do it. Ruud in the house, Nick Bahe in the house, in the pod studio. Wow. What a game to talk about here. 23-16, Oklahoma takes down Nebraska in the 50th anniversary of the game of the century. Hi, folks. Jim Nance alongside.
Man, woman, and child. They really put him in the aisles.
I mean, God, where do we even... How are you doing today? Like, I got someone to get into to start with, but how you feeling
not
today?
Bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, not bad at all. It was a fun game to watch, actually.
Yeah.
Right. I was kind of still nervous throughout the whole game, but I enjoyed it. It was kind of a net. We lost, and I felt like it was like I didn't feel bad.
No,
that bad after the loss.
Well, here's the thing. So this was my, I always like to have some dumbass thing to get started. Like like that game felt like a little bit of the living embodiment of glass half full, glass half empty.
Yeah.
That game for Husker fans is the true to form, real life version of that scenario, right? Where it's like, okay, the glass half full is, listen, man, they were 23-point underdogs by kickoff, and they had a legitimate chance to win. You could argue they should have won the football game. The defense held one of the best offenses in the country down, made a Heisman candidate. I mean, Spencer Rattler still did some good things, but for the most part, held that team in check. The offense, even though they had a litany of issues that we'll get into, for the most part, kind of moved the ball pretty damn good. Martinez looked good. The playmakers looked good. Like, that's the glass half full version of it. The glass half empty it's the same old stuff. It is the cheddar bob shooting yourself in the foot. Kicking game atrocious, penalties, discipline, organization, all those things kind of creeping up again. So I think it's kind of one of those living embodiments of like all how you want to look at the game and look at the scenario.
Yeah, I would say though, if you had to poll Husker Nation,
you think most people
who've been half glass empty, glass half empty so far this year, I would say majority would be saw that game as a glass half full, just because the expectations were not just low, they were really low. 23-point dogs. Everybody I talked to said, I hope we don't get killed.
Yeah.
And we didn't get killed.
No.
We did get beat, but man, it felt like we weren't the JV team. No. I thought we might be the JV team when we played Oklahoma. It didn't feel like we were the JV team. It felt like that was a team we could beat, not 1 out of 10 games, but like flip a coin, we win every other game.
I mean, it didn't feel like, there's sometimes you see a 3 touchdown underdog type of game unfold where there's an upset brewing, and it feels like, man, if they lined up and played again tomorrow, it would be a shellacking. That game didn't feel like a fluke to me.
No, because they didn't, I don't think Oklahoma played great for them by any means, but they didn't like absolutely shoot themselves in the foot either. They just played kind of maybe their B- game, and we probably played our B+ game, and it wasn't good enough. It just wasn't quite good enough. But man, it felt like we were driving that game more than they were.
Absolutely,
that's a telling thing that I think we're all a little surprised about. And that's why I guess I don't feel bad, because they surprised me yesterday.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, and we'll get into the kind of like, I want to revisit this conversation at the end of the recap to see where we feel on it. But I'm with you. For the most part, I don't know how you couldn't walk away from that game, aka that glass, and not go, that thing's half full, man, and filling up, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, the reason it's not full is the same stuff. Like, that's the thing that I'm having a hard time with. Like, what are we to do with? I thought SIP's headline in the Lincoln Journal-Star was like perfect. Undeniable growth, but the same old issues Nick's upset hopes. And that's the thing. Like, what are we to do with what we just saw from the standpoint of undeniable progress, undeniable, super encouraging things on both sides of the ball? But what also is undeniable is this is 3.5 years of us saying out loud, if they just clean up special teams, if they just get a little more buttoned up, if they stop cheddar bobbing themselves, we've been saying this stuff for 3.5 years, and it's not gotten any better in those areas. So that makes you just be like there's just a part of me that is like, God damn, like I don't know how to make sense of that last part of it.
The only thing I can come up with, because it has been years of it, and it's been head scratching, is it's something psychological where we don't know how to win close games. Like the progress made is that we don't get blown out like we used to.
No.
And we're in all these games against good teams, even like this game, like we showed, there's something missing with, do we have guys and do we have a program in place that finds the way to win in these close games? And we have not. I think we saw stats. We've lost our last 8 games.
8 games by 28 points. I think that was
28
Klatt's
points.
Little nugget there. I mean, that's 8 games, 28 points.
8 games, 28 points. So 2 points here and there over 8 games. It's crazy. I've never, ever seen those kind of margins. Like, that's 8 games is 24 points. That's freaking nuts to me.
And then you wonder, and we're getting like too deep before we get into the game here, but you wonder if this is maybe, as I went to say it, I don't even know if I believe it. Like, is all it going to take is one spark? Like, if they would have found a way to win that game yesterday, I'm not saying like you wake up and all of a sudden you're like, you're wrecking shop, but it just feels like it feels like there's something psychological at this point, and the only way to get over that is to win a big game. I don't know.
I always
it's
felt like
hard to figure out.
If you grow up winning, you expect to win,
right?
And you kind of, once you've seen yourself win in tight moments, you just kind of hit repeat.
Yeah.
And right now, I feel like we've seen ourselves lose in tight moments, or we turn it on too late. Like all these things that we haven't found a way to kind of go learn from it. And
right.
It seems like we're repeating the bad stuff and not the winning stuff. So I think it's something psychological. I think it feels like we're getting closer, which that's a good sign, because people thought we were going the other direction. And I think we were kind of like, it felt like we've been moving forward these last few years, but we didn't see it with the W's. We need to start seeing it with the W's. That's the difference. Like, we need to, because God, we're seeing the movement.
Well, we've definitely been seeing the movement on defense. And even though they scored 16 points, I felt like you saw some stuff on offense that made you go, ooh, hold on now. Yeah. Are they kind of coming along on that side of the ball too? But it's just weird when it's the same issues are still there, yet they feel like it feels like they're getting closer, but those same issues just are still there. So,
we'll see.
Okay. Usually, it's funny, you and I, we did have a pre-show meeting. We did have a real quick pregame meeting. Usually we do these game recaps, and we're more recapping the team and maybe the psychological moment of the fan base, and not recapping the game, right? Sometimes there are certain game recaps that don't call for like a nitty-gritty diving into specific things with the game, and it's more big picture stuff. To me, this feels like a game recap.
This was a game because it was a game.
Yes. So what we're going to kind of do, now we'll hammer through it. We're going to go through the whole game.
Yeah.
And I know that feels like, well, man, this is going to take forever. Like, first of all, there were not that many possessions. This game moved fast. And I was texting you, it felt like 90% of the possessions, something significant happened on Oklahoma or Nebraska's drive that we need to discuss.
Yeah.
So here we go, pal. Toe meat leather, Norman, Oklahoma. It was a hot one there. The first drive of the game for Oklahoma. Here's the things that I wrote down. There were Nebraska's defense had 2 third down opportunities to get off the field. They had a third and 11. They allow Oklahoma to convert. They have a 3rd and 7 and can't get off the field. On the 3rd and 7, what did you think about it looked like a pick play. I mean, dude, it was a Kenny Bell, the guy.
It was a crack back. The argument was they threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage, which technically it's legal. I think the hard part is it's so blatant, and it's like a blindside block, which they call those on anything else other than that for some reason. And man, I don't know. It just felt like that was like,
it felt like a shaky call.
It felt like, man,
or a shaky no call.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. That to me was, they started running down the field and came back. I don't know. It was kind of
that seemed like a weird play. The other thing that happened on this drive was Luke Reimer almost had an interception, and that's going to be a theme throughout the game. You get these opportunities to get your hand on the ball, you got to make the play. Yeah. Reimer almost gets an interception, but Oklahoma eventually gets down the field and punches in a score 7-0.
Yeah, that first drive there was those 2 third downs. That was we'll talk about this more as we go, but the Blackshirts, I think, had a good day. I think if you looked at their day on third down, though, that was kind of a negative for them to me, was they didn't play great third down defense when they were in good situations. Not 3rd and 4. I'm talking
not 3rd and 1.
10.
Yeah, well, this is a 3rd and 11 and a 3rd and 7.
That's one area where they're going to be, the defense is going to be kicking themselves. They're going to look at their third down defense, but they've been pretty good all year. They were not so good with their third down.
Agree, because so Oklahoma was 6 of 11 on third down for the game. And that's something that, as I was taking notes, I kept on writing down. Had an opportunity to get off the field on third down, didn't do it. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, you have 2 opportunities on third down. Reimer has a near pick. Would have been a pretty good play, but he's got his hands on the ball. And then here comes Nebraska's first drive. What was everybody's confidence level after the first 2 flags?
What?
I mean,
what's a good
analogy
for 4 penalties in the first 10 plays.
You have 2 false starts to start the game. I couldn't even, because it doesn't make sense. The image in my mind kept coming back to The Simpsons and Sideshow Bob stepping on the rake and it coming up and hit. So you start the game with 2 rake kerplats in the face. I mean, at that point, you're like, oh my God. Is this going to be the biggest disaster you've ever seen in your life?
What's funny is that first drive we have 4 penalties and we're just so.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was almost like, all right, it's the first drive. It's clearly jitters, big crowd. These guys really haven't been in front of a hostile crowd for
in 2 years.
2+
because Champaign,
years.
Illinois was like,
so really a lot of these guys, it's like their first game. So I was kind of like,
you chalk it up to that.
I'm going to give a little bit of just
the reason you can is because, so they get 2 false starts. They get to 3rd and 12. Martinez has time. He hits our boy Omar Manning for a 31-yard gain, which, we talked about the third down being a bugaboo for Nebraska's defense. Third downs in the first half were huge for Nebraska's offense. Yeah. They were able to stay on the field, which changed things dramatically. But so you convert a 3rd and 12 after you sideshow bobbed yourself. Yeah. You get to 3rd and 7. You run a quarterback lead ISO with Martinez. You get to 4th and 3. You have that little crosser to Austin Allen to keep the drive alive. You then get to another third down situation. You get to 3rd and 1. You get another sideshow Bob rake in the face false start. So you've now had 3 false starts on the drive, which backs them up to 3rd and 6. But they hit Ramir Johnson on that little out where they convert another third down. And then Cam Jurgens, who decided to wake up and just O'Doyle. He was O'Doyle. He woke up, was just throwing fuckers down as a Doyle rule. Cam Jurgens rule.
Maybe I'm a Husker apologist, but I'll back Jurgens. I go, if you're gonna go down, I actually like us being tough and nasty. I would rather lose being tough and nasty, and having some borderline late hits than being soft and getting our butts kicked. I'm gonna. And we'll talk about Jurgens' other play too, but I felt like those are borderline calls to me.
I completely agree.
So it's I know people like Jurgens is he's a little bit polarizing because he's had his mistakes, but I mean, when you're the guy pancaking dudes for our team, I'm at least going to go, dude, I'll back you on the ones I feel like don't go your way.
What are the chances Cam Jurgens watched Billy Madison for the first time in his life on the flight to Norman? He's like, Doyle rules. I mean, he was bullying cats out there.
Sometimes you need to go out in the to the playground
and just
nerd crush for a while.
Or you just need to pour like a snack pack over somebody's head and that's what you need to do.
He smelled nerd.
He smelled nerd on the O line, the D line for Oklahoma, and just doiled him the whole game.
Nerds, and you just pound them.
But so the personal foul though is, it's problematic because you get down to the 20-yard line. The personal foul backs him up 15 yards. Ultimately, they got to settle for a 51-yard field goal. And Culp, his one highlight of the day, buries a 51-yarder. But that's the first drive. So the score is 7-3. Nebraska had 4 penalties on the first drive of the game. In the red zone, like I said, down at the 20-yard line, they only come away with 3 points.
They got points though. So to me,
totally.
It's like, as much as the penalties were an issue, really, it was the first series. The penalties were just like it was too much.
What was it? 4 of their 8 penalties on the first drive of the game.
So really, besides that, it wasn't an atrocious game for penalties, but we got points on the first drive.
Totally,
good match, good response to the Oklahoma.
And let's be honest, after the 2 false starts to start the drive, you felt like there was a chance this thing was. If you would have hit pause and someone would have said, you can bet your life what happens here, I'd have said Nebraska is going to go 3 and out, punt. They're going to get Oklahoma's going to get great field position, and they're in big trouble. But they're able to drive down and get points.
And so one of the themes, though, that we're going to keep coming back to that I think is important is like they got third downs.
Yeah.
They sustained drives. They kept the defense off the field.
Totally. That's
against a team like Oklahoma. That is huge. And our offense set the tone of, we're going to find a way to stay on the field. Now, the best part of this would be is if they could get points, like real score touchdowns when they do this. But it's just in terms of being in games, you got to maintain drives.
Yes.
And so that was an important point. Like
totally. You and I are completely on the same page. Like I thought third down on both sides of the ball loomed large, and you really needed Nebraska to stay on the field offensively, and they were able to do that.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's second drive was very uneventful. They eventually have to port. I think they got 1 first down, but JoJo Doman had an almost interception over his shoulder. Again, would have been a great catch, but I just want to mention these things. These are these little moments where, like, you get your hand on a ball, you got to make a play. Doman dropped an interception, but they eventually force a punt. The defense is starting to look good. We'll save a deep conversation for the defense of what you were seeing in a little bit. And then at that point, that's the end of the first quarter. Like there was pretty much 3 drives that entire quarter. And so you stop, they go to commercial, and you're like, okay, all in all, one of my keys was like, get off to a good start. They checked a lot of the boxes. They kind of had slowed the game down. They kind of were mucking it up, the things we talked about. They had chances on that first drive to get off the field, didn't do it. They've had 2 interception opportunities, dropped them both. The penalties were a killer, but Nebraska's offense was able to drive down and get points. So all in all, though, at the first quarter, were you kind of like,
you couldn't have asked, even with mistakes, you couldn't have asked for a better start than that with what we were expecting from like the whole week leading.
What you were expecting, and then what you saw with Oklahoma's first drive, and again, the 2 false starts. Yeah. This felt like a recipe for blowout city. But here we are, 7-3. Nebraska's first drive of the second quarter, they go 3 and out. Felt like the pass rush started to kind of heat up. But then there was another thing I wrote down here. Nebraska had to call timeout on their punt because they were going to get a delay a game. And Pristup replaced Cerny at punter.
Pristup apparently had ice on his knee after that. I don't know what happened.
But it's just like, now the timeout ended up, there's going to be a timeout that they burned in the second half that ends up looming large. But it's like, these are these little like organizational stuff. Like, how do you have to call a timeout on a punt?
I don't know. We struggle with change of possession organization.
Very bad. And I guess those are the things that just got to get cleaned up.
Yeah.
That's just weird. 3 and out, you have to call a timeout because they were going to get a delay a game. But they eventually punt it. Oklahoma, they on this drive, it looked like they committed more to the run. They started to try to run the ball more. They got a couple of first downs. This was the possession where Luke Reimer had he blitzed, got past a guy, forced an incomplete pass because he flushed Spencer Rattler, which made Oklahoma attempt a 54-yard field goal, and they miss the field goal. So once again, the black shirts stand tough, give up 0 points. Nebraska's next drive, they had pretty good field position. You have a great catch by Levi Falk on 3rd and 4, another third down for Nebraska's offense staying on the field, where Falk was able to catch one above his head. But they get all the way down to about the 28-yard line. And this was a possession where they had that quarterback spy on Martinez, and he had to throw it away, where he was gonna try to scramble and get loose, but couldn't do it. He has to throw it away, so they have to settle for another field goal. Here comes Connor Culp, 50-yard field goal attempt, no good.
Good, and this was a better stroke of his.
Totally.
When he dinks I think if he makes that, oh man,
did that one hit the upright?
Hit the upright, yeah.
Yeah, because that's what's hard is that one was hit well.
Yeah, I mean,
so he was this close to starting the game with 2 50-yarders.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it's too bad. It's just too bad you don't get those in. It changes the game, the feel of that game.
Well, it's just tough because now you've had 2 separate drives get inside the 30-yard line, and you have 3 points.
Yeah,
which, against a team like Oklahoma, when you're trying to take down a top 5 team, you gotta take advantage of those opportunities. Then Oklahoma takes over. There was another back-breaking. What did you think about that? There was an unsportsmanlike conduct on Markel Dismuke, where it was going to be 3rd and 3. Dismuke kind of punches one of the wide receivers, gets a 15-yard penalty and a first down for Oklahoma for their 5th penalty of the game.
Yeah.
Do you remember that play?
I didn't see him on that one, but that sucks. Yeah.
It's frustrating. But on the very next play, Oklahoma had an offensive face mask on Spencer Rattler when he was trying to stiff arm a defensive back. Eventually, Nebraska gets stopped, forces a punt, but the punt pins Nebraska inside the 5-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
So here comes Nebraska's offense. This game's going fast. There's 4:49 left in the second quarter. Nebraska's down 7-3, but they got the ball at their own 4-yard line. There's almost a safety on the first 2 handoffs of that series, where I'm not sure what was happening there. But they get to 3rd and 11, another big moment here. Gabe Irvin converts a 3rd and 11 with a really nice run, which is important because now you're not having to punt out of the shadow of your own end zone. You get a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, I like that play. It's sort of that shotgun. It's like a stretch. Yeah, it's a shotgun stretch where then Martinez kind of runs down the line, but it's kind of a funky. It's got a funky feel to it, but it kind of kept the defense a little off kilter. I like that series of plays.
We'll stop here for a second. Did you feel like the offense looked a little different? A lot more 2 tight end sets, a lot more pulling,
So Nick, this is to me the big takeaway for our offense. Now that you said that, is getting Vokalek back, and Vokalek and Allen on the field together. That's our best offense.
Yes,
by a mile to me is when those 2 are out there and we're in like a 12 personnel. So 2 receivers, 2 tight ends. When you bring out those 2 guys, they can actually block. They're big targets too, right? And I like our package of plays off of them. And I think it hurt us not having Vokalek that first game.
I think because we'll expand on this later, but one of my big takeaways was, man, it makes a huge difference having those 2 guys on the field and having Betts and Omar Manning. When this offense, and think they don't even have Oliver Martin back yet.
Yeah.
Think if they have Vokalek, Allen, Manning, Betts, Martin, Toure.
That's such a better team than think about last year where it was Cade Warner and Levi Falk and then
Lever and Wandale.
And we were a small team.
Right.
We get way bigger. As soon as you add Allen Vokalek, we're a physical big team. And then you throw in Martin and Toure and Betts, and it's like, man, those guys are all 6'4".
So it makes a huge difference having those guys healthy.
Yeah.
The other thing I should have mentioned, Ramir Johnson started the game. And actually that Ramir ran pretty well today.
He ran hard. He ran harder than I've seen him run. I thought he did a pretty good job.
It seemed like they ran a little bit more, but they kept they ran more option where they'd motion the pitch guy into the backfield and then they just kept giving it to Ramir on the dive.
Yeah.
But I think that game was the most accurate depiction of what this offense is going to look like for the rest of the season, because it looked a little different than it had the first couple of games of the season.
And they slowed it down. I mean, the reality is, this is what we've been sort of debating about. Like, what are we going to do? What's our identity going to be? And we kind of never felt like we had one. I think this could be a pivot point, right? Where a point where they decide, do we need to change the blueprint a little bit in terms of, like, we got these two big tight ends, probably easier for us to recruit this way. And do we want to be a team that slows it down a little bit more? And it's more power foot. Like, I think the power football play action game might suit us better right now. And I think it definitely, our defense would not oppose that at all. It gave our defense a chance to just sit, get a little breather. Those quick 3 and outs that sometimes we'd have.
Right.
That's bad on the defense. So
I just like the look of this offense so much more
better. And I
Definitely.
think they're gonna have to really look in the mirror and say, okay, we did this for Oklahoma, but is this going to become more of the normal?
Right. So transition back to so Nebraska converts that 3rd and 11 so they're out of the shadow of their own end zone.
Yeah.
Then there's another 3rd down conversion where Martinez has a little under some pressure, but hits Samori Toure. He sits down in a zone for another 1st down. Again, I want to talk. These are crucial plays because you're keeping Oklahoma. You're keeping a drive alive. You're chewing clock. You're keeping Spencer Rattler and all those guys on the sideline, and it's a field position game.
And who gets the ball
to start the second half? That's
learning to defer has been one of our best.
Yeah, right.
It's for this team. I just think it makes sense. They understand the concept. Just control the game and be really careful that into the second start or the third. Like, get off the field, get out of halftime without a blunder, and then you get the ball back.
Because this drive ends up in nothing. They end up Oklahoma tries to call some timeouts late to give themselves some time. Nebraska punts. They end up having a penalty on the punt return where they have to start at their own 10-yard line. Oklahoma moves the ball a little bit, but into the first half.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. Let's talk a little bit about half. It's 7-3. I mean, at this point, you are like, you're feeling really good about the complexion and feel of the game. All the things, you used the word muck it up last week. They mucked that game up, where you only had a handful of possessions on either side. You slowed the game down. The defense played great, held Oklahoma at only 7 points. Offensively, you had penalties that were the killer on the first drive. But, you moved the ball. You had 2 opportunities deep in their territory to put points on the board. And again, 3rd down conversions were timely. Nebraska in the first half was 5 of 10 on 3rd down.
So the phrase I'll use is it was a cohesive team strategy, right? We as a team said the way we win is 2 things: slow it down, muck it up on offense, be physical, run the clock, control the ball. Defensively, we said,
give it to me. What was the plan?
Soft zone.
Right.
Keep everything in front, make them do 5 yards at a time, and force them to be patient, force them to not make mistakes. And they did an unbelievable job at executing that game plan. No big plays. Oklahoma is a big play team all the time, always have been. They made Oklahoma play small ball. They made them hit bunts, singles, maybe a double. They never got a triple and they never got a home run.
Right.
That's the strategy. And when your quarterback doesn't turn the ball over, you're in the game. So the blackshirts, I don't think the blackshirts even played that well. Right. I think they executed a great strategy, which is keep them in front of you. That was the strategy, and they did a great job. It was a soft zone. I thought they did an awesome job executing that strategy, not just as a defense, but as a team. It's a team strategy.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a great summation of it, because you could tell, I don't know if they ended up trying to run the ball. Oklahoma felt like their best success was running the ball, but that's kind of not what they want to do.
They were doing what they didn't want to do. That's how we dictated that to them. That's what we wanted. And their run game's kind of odd because it's not like a downhill run game. It's like, it almost, when they run block, it looks like a pass. So I think it was like they had some success with it. And I don't think we tackled necessarily
Yeah,
great.
tackling wasn't as good.
It was a little leaky with our tackling, but we kept them, it was 5 or 10. It was 5 or 10. It was never 20, 30 home run, 50 yards.
Right.
We kept them, we kept it where we wanted to, and they couldn't get in the end zone as easy.
No, and yeah, it's you could tell. I mean, I've watched a decent amount of Oklahoma. Not very many teams have made them look and play like that.
We made them look average.
Look really average.
Yeah.
I mean, that's again, people. This is if you're writing down best offenses in the country, you're writing down Oklahoma in the first 2 or 3 schools, and
right now, people are questioning. So I don't know if it's us or if they are.
That's what I wonder.
Maybe they are not as good as they were made out to be. But I'll tell you what, we helped in that discussion because we didn't make them look good.
I just thought it looked like it was just a good. You talked about a cohesive game plan. It's just you got to tip your cap to Frost, to Chenander, to the whole defensive staff of putting together a great plan and executing that plan. And that I think that's something they're going to have to look hard at. Yeah, is this sustainable?
I think so. I think you got to commit to it, though, right? You have to say, you got to look at who you got in certain games. If you're not the most talented, I think that's how you got to play. Like
Ohio, this team's like you take this plan, Ohio State. When they come to town, this is what you do.
Yeah.
Now, against teams like Wisconsin and Iowa, I mean, I think that's maybe a little bit. It's hard to play a softer zone with teams that want to just kind of load up and run it at you.
Yeah, with
maybe,
Iowa,
but
Iowa, you don't probably do that because they're a hard stretch zone play action team. They're a little different. It's a different game,
right?
But Oklahoma's a high octane offense. They want to run and gun. They're a run and shoot team. I mean, it's so. Yeah. We did what we needed to do there. The defensive strategy is different. Now the question is, does our offensive strategy need to be that much different? I don't know.
I don't know if it does.
I think we do what we need to get good at something and do that.
I agree. And I think what you'll see in the second half, these 2 tight end sets trying to run the ball, set up big plays in the passing game that happen in the second half here.
I think I actually love it when a few of those, we did the stretch, then we did the stretch boot. And I think you get Martinez in those, especially when he can roll out to his right.
When
let him roll out and move.
Those boots where he has the run option to it are tough.
And they're safer plays in my mind. When he's throwing, if he can roll out, it's a safer bet for us on offense. The more of those, the better.
The thing I cannot stress enough, I know people are going to be like, "Bah, drop it." The third down offense was huge.
It's amazing.
Huge. Guys, I cannot stress enough.
The best we've ever had.
If they go 5 of 10 on third down in the first half. If they go 2 for 10, this game might be night.
Yeah.
This game, because they might have had to punt out of their own end zone. First possession, where they convert the third and they get the 2 false starts. And then if they don't convert that first third down on a 31-yard gain to Manning, they're punting out of their own end zone. Disaster. Same thing at the end of the first half. I just cannot stress enough how huge, and I know it only ended with Nebraska scoring 3 points in the first half, but the fact that they went 5 of 10 on third down cannot be talked about enough of how important it was.
It was a big part of this game.
So everybody went to the bathroom, got a snack. They sat back down. Here comes the second half. Nebraska's first drive. You saw all the things we talked about where a lot of 2 tight end sets, a lot of pullers, cross blocks where they brought guys in motion to kind of crack down on somebody. You had a nice screen pass to Samari Toure for a first down. Martinez was good on this drive. There's a great under duress throw to Austin Allen where he steps up in the pocket, steps right, hits him right at the sticks. And then we saw a play that we haven't seen since pretty much the 90s that almost brought a tear to my eye. The option pass.
Yeah. I bet you they've been saving that for 3 weeks.
Because I think they thought they were going to get 6, but I don't know if they were in a cover 2 because that other safety came down and hit Allen. Is a hell of a catch by Allen to hold on to the ball. But, I mean, did you not get a little tingle when Martinez...
I tingled.
I felt the tingles and the jingles all throughout my body.
What is it about option pass that we love? We just saw so many. Like I'm thinking, like Tracy Wistrom, Sheldon Jackson, Sheldon play action Jackson. Yeah.
I mean,
so many.
Eric
years.
Alford.
Oh God, it's so many great, just freaking option passes in our history. That
when you see T. Frage go down the line, pop back, Brooke Behringer go down the line, pop back, Frost go down the line, pop back, Crouch pop, like you just, it's the ultimate, like, oh, here it comes.
Because it's hard to defend, but like,
yes,
it's big plays come from it.
It's a great play. Austin Allen, again, good catch. And they get inside they get all the way down the 17-yard line here. They get stuffed on 2 runs, brings up 3rd and 10. It's an incomplete pass. Here comes Connor Culp. Let's bring the rake out. Let's sideshow Bob it.
I think last week? Yeah, it was last week. We're talking about Connor Culp at the bar. I mean, he's back at the bar.
Oh, he's back. And Connor Culp went to the bus station at Norman, Oklahoma, and I know there was no rain, but somehow he got soaked here.
No, Nick, it's like those cartoons where it's a sunny sky, but there's one cloud in the sky, and it rains.
Right on him.
Was following Connor Culp and raining on Connor Culp.
Right on Connor Culp.
Poor guy.
35-yarder. This one was like Nick Bob Bo Ruud, just a snap hook off the tee. Thing was not end over end. It was kind of a sidewinder tornado hook. 35-yard field goal miss where you had a great drive. You get the ball all the way down to the 17. You chew about 6 minutes off the clock, and you come away with nothing. So Nebraska's now had 3 drives get inside. 2 get inside the 20, 1 get inside the 30, and they have a whopping 3 points.
That's the part where these guys got to find a way to win. Like, you got to find a way to get in the end zone and get a field goal, 2 of those 3 times.
They have to finish these drives.
They just don't. I don't
know what it is.
Finishers. They haven't finished drives in games well from an offensive standpoint.
But that's a bummer. I mean, because you really felt like you came out as a tone-setting drive. You drive right down the field, and you think you're going to get points.
I think they showed a Martinez on the sideline. He kind of rolled his eyes like, serious, man?
No, that Martinez couldn't. They had a great, the director's like, give me a camera shot of Martinez. Keep on him. And Martinez was like,
that's good. There you go. Stay right on him there.
I mean, Martinez had to, and he's usually a pretty positive body language guy, but he was just like,
how do you not, though?
So here comes Oklahoma. First play of an offsides on Ben Stilley. Another penalty. Just want to chalk up all the penalties here. This was a play where the series where they had the trick play, where they had the reverse kind of throwback to Rattler, who threw the ball down the field for 23 yards. But the big sequence on this drive, there's an offensive pass interference on Oklahoma that backs them up 15 yards. So they're lining up 2nd and 27. As a defense, you think we're in great shape to force a punt, get off the field. They have a big gain, good throw from Rattler for 22 yards, brings up 3rd and 5. Another good play by Spencer Rattler, kind of evading the rush, hitting a guy down the field to keep the drive alive. So you had a 2nd and 27 that results in them picking up a first down, and now it's 1st and goal. They eventually kind of chip down. They run that play action, slip a tight end out, or might have been a back out touchdown. So now with 3 minutes and 15 seconds left, it's 14-3. But let's pause for a second. What a swing of events here.
Yeah.
Nebraska has the ball inside the red zone. They get stopped. Connor Culp misses a 35-yard field goal. Nebraska gets then Oklahoma in a 2nd and 27, can't get off the field. Oklahoma drives down and scores a touchdown. So these are the scenarios here. Nebraska, it could have been 10-7 if they would have scored on their first drive, a touchdown. Or it could have been 7-6 if Culp makes the 35-yarder. Instead, it's 14-3.
Yeah.
And it's just like, of all of those options, how is it always option C right now?
Because they don't know how to win those moments, because it's all these little moments, right, in these games, and you gotta find ways to win those. The ones that are there for the taking, you got to take.
Yeah, but at this point, you're like,
but it ain't over yet.
It's not over.
It didn't feel even close to over yet.
But there was a part of me that was like, man, it did feel like they got to make something happen on this drive.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. Here come the Huskers down 14-3 with 3 minutes and 49 seconds left in the third quarter. Again, this game's flying by. You have a couple of good plays by Amir Johnson and Xavier Betts, and then here comes a pretty nifty play that ends with O'Doyle at the end of it. Great screen call. This was a great play. Yeah. Roll out, slip Ramir out, throw it back. Tons of room. Cam Jurgens finds Billy Madison and puts dude on skates. Did he have the guy 50 yards down the field?
50 at least. As a coach, you got to be so proud of that moment, right? Because that's everything you've ever wanted to see out of a lineman. And he gave him a little final push at the end. They made a movie called The Blind Side. I think the movie was basically based on the guy who did that play, and they're like, let's give him a scholarship.
Yeah.
That was the same play.
That was the same play.
You take the guy and put him in the bleachers.
Right.
And it's a football. You're supposed to be like, that's a great play.
Yeah, stay on the block, finish the play, run through the whistle.
I mean, it's a great play. And that one, I'm like, it's too bad. It's too bad the refs are like, hey, you pushed a guy.
And that guy
on this field where that's what we're doing.
And it looked like the guy might have had a little flop. Like, I mean,
Jurgens said he was grabbing his face mask. So, right. I mean, it's one of those. I just go, my whole philosophy of the refs is swallow your whistles at all times.
But now the good part about it is at least the refs said it was after the play, so it didn't negate everything. But nevertheless, it's like, I didn't like the call at all. And I know it's the flag was thrown, but God damn, Cam Jurgens, that is nasty. I mean, center, pull out, get down the field, put a mother on skates, Nick, for 50 yards.
If we're going to lose, let's lose being those guys. Let's lose being the guy downfield.
O'Doyle and mother truckers.
Yeah, let's go be O'Doyle and lose rather than like freaking be the nerds that are getting
Steve
pummeled.
Buscemi. Yeah. Steve Buscemi putting lipstick on. But first of all, great play call. I've been waiting for plays like this. Very creative, well done. Nebraska doesn't get a lot of screens. That just was, It was, everything about it was beautiful. In Cam's play, it's like, I don't know. I mean, you want to 50 up downs, see at 6 a.m., but I don't know.
Whatever. I mean, if it's egregious, if it's an effort play, I'm just like, we're trying to build an identity on that line, and he's doing the things that like they used to say he wanted him to do.
I mean, I know he had two personal fouls.
Yeah, we can be all on about being undisciplined, and that's fine. I'm fine with you critiquing him for being, but like, to me, it's like, I'm going to go down with O'Doyle then.
Well, to me, I just think if there was a Royal Rumble between all the O linemen and D linemen, like Jurgens won the Royal Rumble. Yesterday.
He was the nastiest guy in the field.
The nastiest dude on the field. I don't know how, if you're not an NFL scout, you didn't watch that and go.
They're not mad about that, Nick.
Well, I think they're kind of like, I feel like Gruden is like, you see old 51 out there pulling around.
Knock on wood if you feel me.
Knock on wood if you feel me, huh? Yeah, Jurgens, he'll hit you, But this guy, Cam Jurgens, 55 yards down the field, puts him on his tush. He looks like a Raider if I've ever seen one. But God, that was everything about that play was. But okay, this drive's still rolling here. Very interesting sequence here. Nebraska, Martinez scrambles gets about an 8-yard gain, gets a 2nd and 2. Gabe Ervin gets a handoff. He has the most wide open hole ever. And dude, I don't know if we've got an update. Looked like he shattered his knee.
I mean, it looked like he blew out a ligament. I mean, that was,
which is a bummer.
If it's like a,
because he just went down. No one was around him. He went down.
It didn't look like it, it didn't look like any, it definitely was like, hey, he was holding his knee, but there was no big, sometimes you see like the leg give. The leg didn't really visibly give.
Right.
So that's a good sign that maybe it's like a bad sprain. It's too bad if he has to go
because I like
surgery.
Ervin.
I wanted him to be the guy.
I like Gabe Ervin.
He's our best running back, by the way.
I want to get to know Gabe Ervin.
Nick, what did you just say?
I want to go. What's wrong with two guys going out to a candlelit dinner?
You're going to wine and dine him the Raider way, and
this guy, Gabe Ervin.
I'd like to take him on a date.
Get him a nice steak. Get him a dessert. We'll split it 2 spoons.
Sounds
Is that
like
wrong? Does that sound like a Raider night to you?
It sounds like a lovely evening.
We'll meet Cam Jurgens for a nightcap. It'll be pretty good. But it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with his injury status.
I hope he's not out for the year.
Yeah, I'll take him out. I'll take him out to dinner. Get him nice and get him feeling better about life. But okay, here's another big moment though on this drive. So it comes to 3rd and 3. Oklahoma does that little shift, which creates false start again by Nebraska, which they've now. I mean, I don't know what the NCAA record.
Everybody had a turn.
At this point, someone was like, "Can I get the NCAA record on false starts in one game?" At this point, it's their 4th false start and their 8th penalty for now 70 yards. But it backs Nebraska up, so they were at 3rd and 3. Now they're 3rd and 8, and our boy Adrian Martinez, hell of a step up in the pocket scramble. This was the one where he reached for it, and definitely got it. They had a horrible spot. They reviewed it, overturned it, 1st down. Hell of a play by Martinez. Then here comes another that Scott Frost at this point is just balling. Great little design to slip Vokalek through on a little like almost like an out and up banana route.
So it's a back cross up.
Yes.
Great. This is why I like the 2 tight end set so much is you do a lot of those plays, which for a defense, they're hard to deal with. They're hard to deal with these tight ends that do these late drags back across the field. I would love to see us do just a ton of that stuff.
Well, expand with that. Because why is that hard as a backer? Because I mean, it seems like it'd be tough where it's like
because they're flowing. It's hard run action. They're flowing, and the tight end coming across on delay, like you just can't barely see it.
Right,
and you got to be really, really disciplined. You have to spend a lot of time working on it. That's why I like it. It's a real beast for the defense to have to prepare for.
Because he was wide open.
Yeah, it's hard to defend.
And we shout out to Vokalek. That's not the I mean, it was right there, but that's how many times have we seen people not catch that ball? He catches it, the gain of 39 yards. It gets to 1st and goal at the 6-yard line. They go heavy. They bring out their beef package. Klatt broke it down well. They brought a guy in motion, down block, kicked the guy out. Ramir leads it the way. Martinez pumps it in there. And Martinez almost looked like he was kind of like flexing and talking to these dudes where I was like, oh, man. I think reservations for 2 with Martinez and Gabe Irvin. But fantastic drive.
That's one of the that was a progress moment for us. It's like they scored, we come back. We kind of capture the momentum of the game.
Well, did you hear Gus? Gus Johnson goes, "Hold on, folks. We got a game."
Yeah.
You know, like he thought he was getting. Gus has that thing where he feels an upset brewing.
Yeah.
You could tell Gus was like, this shit's about to go get real here.
I felt like our line throughout the day was like, there were times where they were not great. And then there were times where I'm like, we look like we're being pretty physical. Like, and so I felt like we were starting to get a little bit of that going. And then it's too bad what's it's about to.
So here comes the extra point. Connor Culp got the old Uncle Phil to Jazz thrown out of Norman, Oklahoma.
Times you gotta get thrown.
And here comes Kellen Meyer, freshman from Ord, Nebraska, and the extra point is blocked. It was a low kick. Whoever Nebraska's their right guard got like
it was a kick was a little low, but I mean got
somersaulted. Extra point blocked. Oklahoma picks it up, returns it 100 yards for 2 points. So now it was going to be 14-10, all momentum on your side, even though you're down. But it felt like Uncle Mo was all on the Nebraska side. And now Oklahoma is up 16-9, and they're playing the pump up music. Like it's weird where Nebraska just marched down the field and scored, and it felt like Oklahoma was now like they were juiced up. All because of that sequence.
In low scoring games, the games that we tried to play here, every point matters. And this game ended up coming down to field goals and extra points.
Yeah.
It was 2 field goals, an extra point that we didn't get off the board, and 2 points that way. That's 9 points. That's 9 easy points that matter in a low-scoring game. They matter. They matter a ton.
Yes. What did you think of pulling Culp?
Oh, I mean, he's probably at the bar by that time. No, I mean, I don't know
what to think of. I mean, I don't know what to think of it. I mean, I don't.
Can you not kick an extra point? It's
I don't know.
Befuddling the timing of that, and it.
I could try to muster up a Stephen A. Smith take on, like, first and foremost, if you think pulling Connor Culp was the right decision, you're crazy. But Scott Frost, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you right now. Kellen Meyer, Ward, Nebraska. No, I mean, I could try to do that, but, like, I don't know. At this point, Culp is Sideshow bobbing himself.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
a cartoon rain cloud is on him. He got jazzed out of.
I mean, they put him back in, actually.
They did, but huge play. Enormous play. So now that, by the way, into the third quarter now. You talked about it. The kicking game is killing Nebraska. In that quarter alone, you have a missed field goal and a blocked extra point return for 2 points for Oklahoma. So that's a 5-point swing in that quarter alone. Nebraska's missed 2 field goals, an extra point. I mean, they should be ahead in this game now. And they are trailing 16-9.
Yeah, and it goes from less than either being ahead or being less than a 1-score game to being like they have a full touchdown lead. They have the momentum as well.
Right. It's frustrating. So here comes the fourth quarter. The bottom line is, if you would have told everybody that, hey, would you take 16-9 heading into the fourth quarter, you would have taken that in a heartbeat.
Sure.
But nevertheless, how we arrived at this point has been maddening. Did want to mention again, and this one's maybe a little, like, I'm big on, there was 2 near interceptions on this drive. Cam Taylor-Britt was close, would have been a hell of a play, but he almost gets a pick. And then Braxton Clark, they run a deep post, he jumped, and he gets his hands on it.
That one was for the taking. That's
probably the biggest one. They're like, you got to come down with that ball.
Want to win games? Got to make a play, man.
So that's now, I had it for my count 4 almost interceptions, but that's a big play.
But 2 were on scoring drives?
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. That's
2 of them were on scoring drives.
Big plays there. Did want to mention Oklahoma got to a 3rd and 10, and they convert it. We have another chance to get off the field. You get to 3rd and 7. Oklahoma converts it. Had another chance to get off the field. This was a play where Rattler then has the great run down to the 3-yard line. Oklahoma gets it 1st and goal at the 3. They punch it in. It's now 23-9 with 10 minutes left in the game. And you're just like, you feel like it's bizarre. It's 23-9 and you feel like Nebraska should be like ahead. Mm-hmm. It's a weird feeling, but you're down 14 points. The next drive for Nebraska, you had the awful kickoff return by Ramir Johnson. He goes and fields it, kind of running towards the pylon, and then he tries to run laterally. He gets stuck, and so the drive starts at the 13-yard line. Here comes more organizational issues, and this ends up looming large. Out of a kickoff, Nebraska has to call timeout because they were going to get a delay a game. Yeah. And that ends up looming large because they needed all their timeouts at the end of the game. Like, I wish someone would explain what the hell is happening in those moments.
They don't do a great job of that. That's 4 years where they're the amount of timeouts from
a change of possession
or coming off a timeout, like a TV timeout or something. We get a lot of them. I mean, more than I would guess most teams do.
Because there's another organizational issue on this drive. But so you have to call a timeout. But here comes the T-Bird, the Bell West cat, on a gorgeous play. You get single coverage, man-to-man, and Betts just runs by the Oklahoma DB, just runs by his ass. And Martinez's throw was perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect. Betts bomb down the sideline, catch it. On that same play, there's a penalty on Oklahoma for sideline interference. So in one play, Nebraska gains pretty much 70 yards and completely flips the field.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another organizational issue. And Frost talked about it in the post-game press conference. Nebraska was totally flustered on that first down, which they shouldn't have been because there was a penalty. They had time to kind of get organized. Frost said there was confusion on the formation. He wanted trips right. I don't know if it got signaled in wrong or whatever. You could tell Frost on the sideline is trying to signal in. He's kind of going crazy. Martinez is confused. And then Martinez doesn't want to burn a second timeout. So Martinez just snaps the ball and just basically runs back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Which is a big moment because then on second down, they run that fake reverse pass to Austin Allen in the end zone, incomplete. And then on third down, Martinez gets sacked for an 8-yard loss.
Mm-hmm.
So here comes 4th and 18. Martinez gets flushed. He scrambles. He throws the ball.
Odell Beckham picked it up.
Odell Beckham checked in for Oklahoma. Unbelievable play, but it ends up being it's hard to call that a play. It was the wrong play, but it was the play of the game. Like in terms of
maybe
amazing
the best interception I've ever seen.
It was unbelievable.
It was like he was for the Olympic diving team or gymnastics team, and he spun and caught it and whipped around.
It's unreal.
It was unbelievable.
It looked like, remember when you played with mini balls when you could kind of one hand? I mean, he one-handed it. Acrobatically spinning in the air.
And then wrap the ball underneath him.
Unbelievable play.
Great catch.
But it ended up being when he did it, everybody was going nuts. And you're like, if you're Nebraska, you're like, cool.
I think he got 20 some plus yards down the field.
Yes, yeah. You went from you were at the 17, you were at the 25 because you got an 8-yard loss, and then he catches it at the 4-yard line. Yeah.
I mean, this is great. Better than the punt.
But timeout though, frustrating, Bo. You get the huge bomb to Betts. Yeah. You're somehow flustered. You just throw away first down because you can't get organized. Second down, you take a shot, don't get it. Third down, you get sacked. Fourth down, that happens. Once again, you get the ball inside of the 20-yard line and you come away with nothing.
That possession is to bother him.
And that sequence, I think, was just really, really, really frustrating.
Yeah.
And these are those moments I think Martinez made the right call to not call timeout because you just had called one.
Yeah.
But man, you needed the first down negative play and confusion was frustrating. But it's just frustrating where you had the ball at the 17.
This is one we can debate. I'm thinking about this now because at the time I was like, yeah, smart play. And I'm going, are you better off burning it
maybe
when you're in a position to score down a touchdown? We're down 1 touchdown right now, right?
Well, no, it's 23-9.
Oh, it's 23-9 at this point.
Yep. But you need points.
You need points,
you
right?
Need 2 touchdowns.
You're now he's trying to save timeouts, which I get that because they had to burn one,
I don't know. I've been a quarterback where you got to make these split-second decisions.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know exactly what is the right decision there.
I mean, you want to save your timeouts, I guess, but I guess you probably don't want to burn it unless you had a play that's gonna dice them or something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
So it's but that's a big sequence. It's a big sequence.
Yeah.
So Nebraska, again, they had the ball inside at the 17 with 10 minutes left, down 23-9. They come away with nothing. But Odell Beckham penned them at the 4, and Oklahoma goes 3 and out and has to punt. So Nebraska is able to get the ball back at the Oklahoma 37. Toure catches it, just runs a little bit. So they have great field position. And this is where Martinez was so good on this drive. Incredible. 2 unbelievably athletic, elusive plays. First down, he evades the rush. He finds Austin Allen for a 7-yard gain. And then on second down, I don't know how Oklahoma has the guy sacked. He is able to shake free and then runs for 10 yards. Just an incredible play, which then sets up at the 21-yard line the post to Omar Manning. Great throw, great catch. That 6'4", big body going up, catching it. Touchdown, Nebraska.
Martinez stood in the pocket. That was the thing. He stood in there. He hung in there, and he kept his feet down. He kept his head downfield, and he delivered a strike. I mean, that's the kind of throw we've been waiting for. The presence to stay in there, deliver the football like that. That's big time progress for him. Like, it's good to see him doing that because, like, we've always known he could.
Right. Well, the thing that's amazing, if you watch it again, he's going through his progressions. He actually he gets to Omar Manning, moves off him, checks to maybe his third or fourth read, but then goes back to Omar Manning because maybe he needed to let Omar.
It was a long route.
It was a long route, so he had to buy time. And it's just those three plays. I challenge you. Those three plays are just fucking big time plays. Big time plays. So Nebraska scores. They kick the extra point. It's 23-16 with 5 minutes and 38 seconds left. Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Now Oklahoma has two. They're only two. All of a sudden, Cheddar Bob showed up and was like, sorry, I'm late. Oh, goddamn, stop. Cheddar Bob checked in at kickoff returner because
it's not just us. Other people are stupid.
It's nice that Cheddar Bob suits up for other teams.
They can be stupid too. It's great.
So instead of letting the ball go out of bounds, the OU guy dives on it at the 8, which is like, what are you doing? But great. And then Oklahoma gets a delay a game.
Yeah. So
you're like, okay, are they starting to pee their pants?
Yeah, I mean, they weren't great yesterday.
Because it's first and 14 at their own 4-yard line now. Oklahoma, this is where it's frustrating that Nebraska's defense, they force a punt, but they allow Oklahoma to chew about 5 minutes-ish, 4:45 off the clock.
We were leaky. We were really leaky this drive, which we needed. This is where a place where they needed to be as solid as they could possibly be. We were leaky.
Yeah.
We just let them just pitter run 3 first down. I mean, it's just too bad
because that's
where
I know that 2 first downs on runs for Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler gets a first down on a little zone keep read. Nebraska then they have to start calling their timeouts to preserve some time. They run the little shovel pass. Ben Stilley gets the tackle on 3rd and 4, and they have to punt.
But we're a timeout. We were a timeout down. So
down. That's where those timeouts make it all of a sudden now like that. Not having that extra timeout is a big deal.
Yeah,
because they punt. Nebraska gets the ball with 57 seconds left at their own 17-yard line with no timeouts, and this was as sorry of a 1-minute drill as you'll ever see in your life.
I mean,
all the things that can't happen. First down, sacked, 7-yard loss.
Don't take a sack.
You cannot. Just throw that bitch to Cheddar Bob on the sideline.
And you don't actually want to throw it short in bounds.
Right.
You really if you're not throwing it down the field or to the sideline, you want it to be incomplete.
Right. So then on second down, that's right. They hit Austin Allen in the middle of the field.
And so people are running down the field, have to run back and get set.
And then here comes 3rd down, sacked.
Don't take a sack.
And then here comes 4th and 18. He has to check it to Ramir Johnson. But this is your biggest pet peeve. Go ahead.
Yes, this is my biggest pet peeve in the world, in the history of football. Tell them what happens, and I'll tell you my pet peeve.
So Ramir Johnson catches the ball. Clock is to zeros. And he runs, and he just gets tackled and goes down with the ball in his hands. Ball game, but what? Because I know you're the first person I thought of. I was like, Bo's not going to be happy about that at all.
It's of anything that happened on the field, this is the most, for me, the most unforgivable play. If you don't try to keep the game alive,
I don't know.
What are you doing out there if you don't try to pitch it backwards, fumble it?
How do you go down with the ball? Like, I just don't understand. How do you go down with the ball?
I mean, it was a bad 1-minute drill, as bad as it gets. But the last play, even if you get tackled and fumble it, and
I don't care if they end up and run for a touchdown.
Doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Your job is to not let the play die, and that should be something you know when you're in 5th grade.
Right. I don't understand, because it looked like when he caught it in the middle of the field, I think Teray was maybe going to be behind him.
And they were kind of waiting. No, that was the play,
right.
But nobody, he just turned into it and ate it. And I just wanted to go, what are we doing?
I just don't understand how you go down with the ball. Like
And
you fumble it.
And we've done that before. That's
Right.
what we did it maybe last year, year before. I was trying to remember what game.
Yeah,
it
I know
was.
what you're talking about, but
And maybe it was against Iowa or somebody, and I was like, "Are we not trying to keep the?"
I never
you
understand
should be
it.
pitching. Every lineman should have the ball and be.
And
you
if you're
should
going down, just fumble, just lose the ball.
You make that the longest play
Ever.
Yeah, it turns into rugby. You basically play rugby the rest of the time.
Right.
And you try to wear them out and sneak something through and make a miracle. But
I don't care even if you have to run to the sideline and then Motor City Miracle and hope someone's over there. Like,
yes, but that's the way you should be losing.
Yes.
They'll probably get it. They'll probably
right. The game was going to be
they'll
over.
probably get points. They'll probably give a safety, whatever.
Who cares?
You don't
I'm
let
with you.
the play end. That's just a football thing.
But
that bothers me.
It was
more than
it was
anything.
the exclamation point on just a terrible 1 minute drill.
That was really that was their egregious.
2 sacks, a 7-yard gain to Allen on second down, and then Ramir Johnson
they stayed inbounds. Like they threw it in the middle of the field.
It was horrible.
Inbounds.
I mean, there's a horrible
What are
final
we doing?
moment there.
What are we doing?
And so the clock strikes 0.
Yeah, the only thing you can do is if you throw it for a first down in the middle of the field,
Then
doesn't matter.
Right.
Because then you got time, but you can't throw it short of the
because that's what Ramir wasn't. He was
infield.
short of the first down. You know what I mean? That's
Ramir was. It was supposed to be a pitch time after that.
Right.
You throw it short, and now it's scramble time. But he didn't scramble time. He
No.
said, "I'm going to go get tackled."
I don't
Like he turned into people, and
right.
maybe he said that he was going to try to split them, but like that's not the point. The point there is like you're just trying to wear them out. At that point.
Right. Unbelievable. And so the clock strikes 0, ball game over. Oklahoma wins 23-16. And we'll wrap it up with a few of these. Like, I mean, I don't even know how do you fix the self-inflicted stuff? The penalties, the organization, we've been saying it for years. It seems fixable, but it just hasn't been fixed.
It's an offensive issue is what it is. The defense, it's not a defense. I mean, occasionally
It feels like offense and special teams.
Special teams, I don't know what to tell you.
The kicking game is at an all-time bad. Where like you wonder, is Connor Culp like toast?
I don't know.
I mean, he got pulled, you know. I mean, you look at like Nebraska, they've missed 5 field goals, 3 extra points, and 1 was run back for a 2-point conversion on the season now.
Yeah.
Brutal, but it's a legit big problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the answers there.
The defense played really, really well. I mean, we've sung the praises of the defense. They did. I mean, you hold them to 23 points, really 21 points. Like, you did about all you could. Sure, could they have gotten off the field a few more times on some? Yeah.
It's also the number 3 team in the country.
That's you're not going to stone them.
Like sometimes I have to remind myself, like you can't always be perfect. I will take that game as it was and say that's all you really should have to do. Our offense has got to find a way to, pretty much do what they did, maybe a little bit better, and then kicking game should win that one for you.
Well, yeah. So the kicking game that game was lost on special teams in the kicking game, but then also the game was lost. We talk about the kicking game, but it also was lost. Nebraska had the ball inside the 30-yard line 4 times, and they come away with 16 points.
That's where if you want to critique the offense, you go
finish the drives.
Yeah, I mean penalties is one thing, but we actually overcame those.
Well, they had 4 penalties on the first drive, and
they overcame them.
And then they had 4 penalties for the rest of the game. But it's just they have to finish these drives with touchdowns.
Yeah,
because if you finish those drives with touchdowns, you win the game and win the game like comfortably. We talked about it, but it bears repeating. Boy, does it make a difference to have Allen, Vokalek, Betts, and Manning on the field. You get your 2 deep threats, your big-bodied receivers. You get your 2 tight end sets where you're better in the run game. You're tougher to deal with in the play action stuff that you pointed out. It makes a big difference with all those weapons on the field.
Well, and we get excited about Betts and Manning. Torrey's our best receiver.
Right.
Period. Torrey's our best guy. Manning and Betts, though, give us vertical threats to go with Torrey, who's also, I would say, a vertical threat. I think we've all been waiting. Like, we've all thought, Betts, Manning, like, shouldn't we be able to just throw it down the field to those guys? And I think to see it actually, like, come to light that, yes, we can, that's a big confidence booster for this team.
Totally.
The identity, though, Allen and Vokalek, those guys on the field, the rest of the season is going to be big.
Absolutely.
Get those guys, like, let's build this identity. I think that's my big takeaway. Is like, okay, I think we could find that
you could
thing.
build off of what you saw from the offense in that. And then imagine adding Martin into the equation. The one thing I wanted to ask you was, I mean, is Ramir Johnson now the number one back, especially with Gabe Irvin? God knows what's
out. But here's the thing: Sevion's in a little bit. I don't know what happened with Step.
That's what I was going
to play.
The next thing I was going to ask you is like this
running back.
These personnel patterns and things we've seen with who's in, who's not, who plays, who doesn't. Think about this. Ramir Johnson was the 4th string running back at Illinois, and he started against Oklahoma and was on the field more than any other running back. Marquise Stepp led Nebraska in rushing in against Illinois and for running backs and started against Fordham and didn't even play.
Morrison's played every game a little bit.
And Irvin's played every game.
Irvin's been the guy. If you had to say who's been the guy, so it's been Irvin. And then Irvin just got hurt. So that sucks that he got hurt. This running back, though, we need to find somebody.
Because Frost, after the game, said that they are kind of like open that competition up, and whoever plays the best during the week is going to get the start.
I mean, it's clear they're actually doing that because I mean, Step went from our leading rusher to not playing.
But I'm just saying, like, and then even Betts didn't play in the first game. Like, there's the, and I get, like, we're not in there, so we don't know discipline stuff. We don't know, like, guys, just put yourself in the coach's shoes. And if someone's at practice, and I don't know this to be true, I don't know, but I can only assume, like, if guys are at practice and they don't know what they're doing, it's hard to put them out there.
That's the only explanation. You have to read between the lines and go, it's either they had a bad week of practice or there's something wrong with the way they've been practicing.
Right. But nevertheless, their personnel shuffling is weird.
Yeah. The only guy, I mean, the tight ends seem like they're solidified.
Teray solidified. And then between Manning, I mean, I think Martin is kind of solidified when he's out there. Right.
But between Manning and Betts and the running backs, it's like, could we get some stability out of those 4 guys, you know?
And that's where I do think, like you said, there was something there with that group and how they played that if you can figure out that running back spot a little bit more, you get Martin back into the equation. And now all of a sudden, like we said, Martin, Teray, Betts, Manning, Allen, Vokalek, with the way Martinez is playing, I'm not saying you're looking at like the greatest show on turf here. You know, so like I'll take Isaac Bruce.
Vokalek.
It's not like that, but like that's something.
Nick, we have, like, you see the future, you see the rest of this year in potential success with some of those lineups. Where, like, I think it just felt like we haven't had any firepower. Like, we've been playing with an empty drawer, and like all of a sudden you got some tools, you got some,
we opened up that tool. Remember, we opened up the web. It's been BB guns and super soakers, and all of a sudden you opened it up, and Vokalek was like, "You want 2 tight end set? I drag out and I run downfield. You throw it right here. I Vokalek run downfield."
Is he Russian? What is he? Vokalek the Russian? He's USSR 1986.
Adrian, I run in down sideline. You put it in hands. I make play. I Vokalek.
Then we drink vodka.
We drink vodka Vokalek style. This my friend Allen. Austin Allen, my other tight end.
He tall like tree. Like Siberian pine tree from where I am from. Very tall.
Okay, we probably need to wrap it up.
Oh my God.
I think I could do a whole podcast on I Vokalek. Throw me ball. I injure for first couple games, but I come in and change game. Oklahoma got no answer for Vokalek. Vodka's for everyone. Okay, but it makes a difference. It makes a big difference to have. It makes a big difference to have those guys in there. So it's hard, man. Like you see it coming. The defense is legit. The offense found a little something if they can get healthy and keep building off this. And then the last thing we got it. Like Martinez is fucking good.
He's playing
Anybody want to talk noise about that guy now?
Well, here's where I'll
don't you
I'll
dare.
talk.
If you
are you
gonna
noise, I gotta talk.
You got a bone to pick? Because I will
not really a bone. I just
call Vokalek and
don't call Vokalek, please. Do not call
Vokalek. Don't
talk about Adrian.
You talk about Adrian. I take
bazooka.
Hit cranium. Skerplat. You little bug. Continue.
Nick, what country is this? I don't know. It doesn't even sound Russian anymore. Oh God.
Okay, what's your beef with Adrian?
There's no beef. It's just he's got to show, like, the way he's been playing the last couple weeks has been nice. There's no complaints the way he's been playing. It's can he continue to take care of the ball and just do what he's been doing, which is like take what the defense gives you and then use your legs.
Yep.
That alone will be in every single Big Ten game. We really will. And I think if he continues to do that, it's going to be a more positive year in this Big Ten. But this is now, Nick, that game in the end was like, throw it out. It's a non-con game. It's against the number 3 team in the country.
No one thought they were winning the game anyway.
We didn't think we were going to win. It was an L from before
literally
the season
no one
started.
picked a win.
I think we're going to build confidence off this game.
I hope so.
But Nick, they got a tough one coming up, man.
Yeah.
Michigan State's playing great.
Murdered Miami.
Beat Miami. They beat Northwestern.
Yes.
Beat the brakes up. I mean,
so all of a sudden now, that was one of the games you felt like if you're writing down, I think I wrote down the easiest games, easiest to hardest. That was one of the easier games.
Nope.
Not now. It doesn't look like that. And so we'll see. It's a big game, but the biggest thing above all these other stuff, Bo, if these self-inflicted Cheddar Bob moments don't get better, I don't think they're going to go to a bowl game. I really don't. I don't think they're just not. Like if their kicking situation continues to be a disaster, you're not going to win. And if you continue to have some organizational issues and I get some of the penalties were Doyle rules, but like, I mean, Doyle. Cam Jurgens watched Billy Madison, but so I don't know, man. All in all, a lot of good stuff to build off in that game, but frustrating at the same time.
Yeah, I think it was like the more we talk about, we get a little bit more frustrated. But I truthfully, when that game was done, I didn't stew on it all night. I was like, you know what? I saw the progress I was hoping was going to be there. We hung in there with the top 5 team in the country. We see we're seeing more of an identity. We were physical, at least. Like, nobody can say we weren't physical. We weren't physical a few years ago.
No.
We were soft a few years ago. We are not soft right now. That's a good place to start.
Absolutely. You even heard Klatt had a lot of positive things to say on his little blurb after the game, saying that, urging Nebraska fans to stay patient and that he thinks this team is close. He said he thinks Nebraska is going to beat one of Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa, Wisconsin down the stretch. Listen, he's not a blow smoke up your what kind of a guy. No,
he's a Colorado guy.
Yeah, he's a Colorado guy.
He's obligated by birth not to
to say F Nebraska. Did you sack him or did Barrett sack? Someone didn't.
I sacked.
I think you sacked him.
Yeah, we need to remind him.
Like you sack Klatt, like if you get sacked, like you always are one up on him for the rest of the year. Like no matter what happens, like that you own him. Okay. Anything else before Vokalek say goodbye?
Doyle rules.
Doyle rules. Doyle rules. Doyle rules.